Champions don't become champions in the ring or on the field alone. The real battle takes place within the mind, and that's where true champions are born. To think like a champion, you must first understand the power of your thoughts and how they shape your reality. Imagine your mind as a fertile garden where every thought is a seed. The seeds you plant and nurture will determine the fruits you reap. If you sow seeds of doubt, fear, and negativity, you'll harvest a crop of limitations and excuses. But if you plant seeds of faith, courage, and positive expectations, you'll cultivate a bountiful harvest of success and fulfillment. Now, let me ask you questions. How many of you have ever allowed negative thoughts to take root in your mind? Thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'll never achieve my dreams, or it's too late for me. If you've ever experienced these kinds of thoughts, you're not alone. We've all been there. But here's the truth. Those thoughts are nothing more than weeds in your mental garden, and they have the power to choke out your dreams and aspirations if you let them. Champions, however, don't entertain those weeds. They pull them out by the roots and replace them with positive, empowering thoughts. They understand that their thoughts shape their reality, and they choose to think like champions. One of the greatest quotes I've ever heard comes from the legendary Earl Nightingale. He said, "We become what we think about." Let that sink in for a moment. You become what you think about. If you think about success, you'll become successful. If you think about failure, you'll become a failure. It's as simple as that. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but Jim, it's not that easy. I can't just change my thoughts overnight. And you're right, it's not easy. Changing your thought patterns takes time, effort, and discipline. But let me tell you something. It's worth it. Because when you learn to think like a champion, you unlock a world of possibilities that were previously hidden from your view. Here's another quote that I love. From the great Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Let that sink in for a moment. If you think you can't achieve your dreams, you won't. But if you think you can, you've already taken the first step towards making them a reality. Champions understand this principle, and they use it to their advantage. They don't waste time entertaining thoughts of doubt or impossibility. Instead, they focus their minds on what they want to achieve, and they hold that vision firmly in their thoughts. But thinking like a champion isn't just about positive thinking. It's also about taking action. You see, thoughts without action are nothing more than dreams. And while dreams are important, they'll never become a reality unless you take the necessary steps to make them happen. Champions understand this, and they take massive action towards their goals. They don't wait for the perfect moment or for all the stars to align. They start where they are with what they have, and they keep moving forward, one step at a time. Let me share a personal story with you. When I first started out in the speaking business, I didn't have a lot of resources or connections, but I had a dream, and I had the courage to take action. I started speaking at local events, sharing my message with anyone who would listen. And while the audiences were small at first, I kept going. I kept refining my message, and I kept taking action. And you know what happened? Over time, my audiences grew. People started to take notice. And before long, I was speaking to larger and larger crowds, sharing my message with people all over the world. Now, did I experience setbacks along the way? Of course I did. That's just part of the journey. But I didn't let those setbacks define me or derail me from my path. I simply adjusted my course, learned from my mistakes, and kept moving forward. You see, champions don't dwell on their failures or their setbacks. They learn from them, and then they move on. They understand that every setback is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. But perhaps the most important aspect of thinking like a champion is the ability to persevere in the face of adversity. Because let's be honest, the road to success is rarely a straight line. It's filled with twists and turns, ups and downs, and obstacles that seem insurmountable at times. Champions, however, don't let those obstacles stop them. They find a way to overcome them, no matter what it takes. They have an unwavering belief in themselves and their abilities, and they refuse to give up until they've achieved their goals. I remember when I first started speaking professionally, there were times when I wanted to quit. There were times when I doubted myself and wondered if I had what it took to succeed. But you know what kept me going? It was the unwavering belief that I had something valuable to share with the world, and that my message could make a difference in people's lives. And so I persevered. I kept pushing forward even when the road seemed impassable. And you know what? Eventually I broke through. I achieved the success that I had dreamed of, and I was able to share my message with millions of people around the world. But here's the thing. I'm not special. I'm not some kind of superhuman with extraordinary abilities. I'm just an ordinary person who learned to think like a champion. And if I can do it, so can you. So let me leave you with this final thought. No matter what your goals or dreams may be, you have the power to achieve them. You have the power to think like a champion, to take massive action, and to persevere in the face of adversity. But it all starts with your mindset. It starts with the thoughts that you choose to entertain and the beliefs that you choose to embrace. So choose wisely. Plant the seeds of success in your mental garden and nurture them with positive thoughts and unwavering belief. You know, one of the biggest obstacles that holds people back from thinking like champions is the fear of failure. But here's the truth. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. Every champion you can think of has failed countless times on their journey. But what separates them from the rest is their ability to reframe failure as a lesson, not a life sentence. Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. Can you imagine that? The man who would go on to win 6 NBA championships and be named MVP 5 times was once told he wasn't good enough. But instead of letting that failure define him, he used it as fuel to work harder, to prove the doubters wrong. Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, had his famous chicken recipe rejected over 1,000 times before someone finally said yes. 1,000 times, most people would have given up after the first dozen rejections. But not the Colonel. He understood that every no was just bringing him one step closer to the eventual yes that would change his life forever. You see, champions don't let failure stop them. They expect it, they embrace it, and they learn from it. They know that every failure is an opportunity to grow, to adjust their strategy, and to come back stronger than ever before. But thinking like a champion isn't just about overcoming failure. It's also about constantly challenging yourself and pushing beyond your comfort zone, because that's where true growth happens. I'll never forget the first time I spoke in front of a large audience. I was terrified. My palms were sweating, my knees were shaking, and I could barely get the words out. But I pushed through that fear because I knew that if I wanted to achieve greatness, I had to step outside of my comfort zone. And you know what? It was one of the best decisions I ever made, because once I conquered that fear, I unlocked a whole new level of confidence and power within myself. And from that moment on, I was hooked. I became addicted to the feeling of pushing myself beyond my limits and achieving things that I once thought were impossible. That's the beauty of thinking like a champion. It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about constantly challenging yourself, constantly growing, and constantly pushing the boundaries of what you think is possible. But here's the thing. Thinking like a champion isn't just a mindset, it's a lifestyle. It's a way of being that permeates every aspect of your life. It's about showing up every single day with the same level of commitment, passion, and intensity. You see, champions don't take days off. They don't let themselves get complacent or satisfied with their current level of success. They understand that the moment they stop pushing, the moment they stop growing, is the moment they start to decline. That's why you'll never see a true champion resting on their laurels or basking in their past glories. They're always looking ahead, always setting new goals, and always striving for something greater. I remember when I first started speaking professionally, I would pore over every evaluation form looking for areas where I could improve. I would study the speeches of other great speakers, looking for techniques and strategies that I could incorporate into my own presentations. And you know what happened? I got better. With each and every speech, I became more polished, more confident, and more effective at delivering my message. And as I improved, so did my success. But here's the thing. I never stopped pushing. I never stopped striving for more. Because I understood that the moment I stopped growing, the moment I stopped challenging myself, was the moment I would start to stagnate. So, if you want to think like a champion, you need to embrace that same mindset. You need to show up every single day with the same level of commitment and intensity. You need to constantly be pushing yourself beyond your limits and challenging yourself to grow. And here's the best part. When you embrace that mindset, when you start thinking like a champion, the entire world opens up to you. Suddenly, opportunities start to present themselves that you never even knew existed. Doors that were once closed to you start to swing open. And people start to take notice of the incredible energy and passion that you're bringing to the table. But let me be clear, thinking like a champion is not easy. It requires discipline, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to your goals. It requires you to push through the pain, to embrace the struggle, and to keep pushing forward even when every fiber of your being is telling you to quit. But here's the thing. That's what separates the champions from the rest. That's what separates the people who achieve their dreams from the people who settle for mediocrity. Because champions understand that the struggle is where the growth happens. They understand that the pain is temporary, but the glory is forever. So, if you're ready to embrace that mindset, if you're ready to start thinking like a champion, then buckle up, because it's going to be a wild ride. But I promise you, it will be the most rewarding, fulfilling, and life-changing journey you've ever embarked. You know, one of the biggest keys to thinking like a champion is mastering the art of self-discipline. Champions understand that success isn't just handed to you on a silver platter. It's something you have to work for, day in and day out, through thick and thin. I'll never forget a story. I heard about Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest boxers of all time. Back in his prime, he had a strict training regimen that he followed religiously. He would wake up before dawn, go for a grueling run, and then spend hours in the gym, pounding the heavy bag and sparring with his trainers. And you know what? Even on days when he didn't feel like it, even when he was tired or sore or just plain didn't want to do it, he did it anyway. Because he understood that success isn't just about talent or natural ability. It's about putting in the work day after day, rain or shine. That's the kind of self-discipline that champions possess. They don't make excuses or look for shortcuts. They buckle down and do the hard work, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. But here's the thing, self-discipline isn't just about working hard. It's also about managing your time, your energy, and your focus. Champions understand that their most valuable resources are their time and their attention, and they guard them fiercely. They don't waste time on activities or people that don't contribute to their goals. They don't get distracted by shiny objects or fleeting trends. Instead, they stay laser focused on their mission, and they allocate their time and energy accordingly. I remember back when I was first starting out in the speaking business, I had a mentor who taught me the value of time management. He showed me how to break down my days into blocks of time and how to prioritize my tasks based on their importance and urgency. At first, it felt a bit restrictive, like I was putting myself in a box. But then I started to see the results. I was getting more done in less time, and I was able to focus my energy on the tasks that really mattered. And you know what? That focus and discipline paid off in spades. Because when you're able to channel your energy and attention toward your goals, you become unstoppable. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable become mere speed bumps. Challenges that once seemed daunting become opportunities for growth and learning. But self-discipline isn't just about time management or hard work. It's also about managing your emotions and your mindset. Champions understand that their thoughts and feelings can either be their greatest allies or their greatest enemies, and they work hard to cultivate a mindset that serves them. They don't let negative thoughts or self-doubt creep in and derail their progress. Instead, they practice positive self-talk, visualization, and affirmations to keep their minds focused on their goals and their potential. I remember when I was first starting out in the speaking business, I would sometimes get crippling stage fright before a big event. My heart would race, my palms would sweat, and I would start to doubt myself and my abilities. But then I learned a simple technique. Before every speech, I would take a few deep breaths and repeat a simple mantra to myself. I am confident, I am prepared, and I am going to crush this. And you know what? It worked. Those simple words were like a shield against my negative thoughts and fears. They helped me to recenter myself and to tap into the champion mindset that I knew was inside of me. So, if you want to start thinking like a champion, you need to cultivate that same level of self-discipline. You need to be willing to put in the hard work day after day, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. You need to manage your time and your energy like a pro, and you need to guard your mindset against negative thoughts and self-doubt. But here's the best part. Once you start to master self-discipline, once you start to think and act like a champion, the entire world opens up to you. Suddenly, goals that once seemed impossible become attainable. Challenges that once seemed daunting become exciting opportunities for growth. Because when you have the discipline and the mindset of a champion, you become unstoppable. You develop a level of focus and determination that is unmatched by your peers. You become the kind of person who doesn't just talk about their dreams. They actually go out and make them a reality. So, if you're ready to start thinking like a champion, if you're ready to unlock your full potential and achieve greatness in your life, then start by mastering the art of self-discipline. Commit to putting in the hard work. Manage your time and your energy like a pro, and cultivate a mindset that serves you and propels you forward. Because when you do that, when you truly embrace the mindset and the habits of a champion, there is no limit to what you can achieve. The entire world becomes your playing field, and success becomes not just a possibility, but an inevitability. So what are you waiting for? Start thinking like a champion today and watch as your life transforms before your very eyes. Because when you think like a champion, anything is possible. You know, one of the most powerful weapons in a champion's arsenal is the ability to envision success. Champions understand that the mind is a powerful tool, and if you can see it, you can achieve it. I'll never forget the story of Roger Bannister, the first person to run a sub-4-minute mile. For years, experts said it was impossible. They claimed that the human body simply wasn't built to run that fast for that long. But Bannister didn't listen to the naysayers. He had a vision, a clear, vivid picture of himself crossing that finish line in under 4 minutes. And you know what? On May 6, 1954, he did just that. He shattered a barrier that had stood for centuries, all because he had the courage and the conviction to envision something that others thought was impossible. That's the power of a champion's mindset. They don't let the limitations of others become their own. They dare to dream big, to envision themselves achieving greatness, and then they go out and make it a reality. But envisioning success isn't just about setting lofty goals or having big dreams. It's about creating a roadmap, a step-by-step plan that will guide you from where you are now to where you want to be. Champions understand this. They don't just blindly chase after their dreams. They break them down into manageable steps, and they create a plan of action that will help them achieve each step along the way. I remember when I was first starting out in the speaking business, I had a big dream to become one of the most sought-after motivational speakers in the world. But I didn't just sit back and wait for that dream to magically come true. I broke it down into smaller, actionable steps. First, I needed to hone my craft and build my speaking skills. So I started by offering my services for free at local events and community gatherings. Then as my confidence and experience grew, I began to seek out paid gigs, first at small corporate events, and then gradually working my way up to larger and larger stages. At each step along the way, I had a clear vision of where I was going and a plan to get me there. I knew exactly what I needed to do to take my career to the next level, and I executed that plan with laser-like focus and determination. But envisioning success isn't just about setting goals and creating plans. It's also about cultivating an unwavering belief in yourself and your abilities. Champions understand that self-doubt and negative self-talk are like kryptonite to their dreams, and they work tirelessly to banish those toxic thoughts from their minds. Instead, they fill their minds with positive affirmations, reminders of their past successes, and a deep, unshakable belief that they have what it takes to achieve their goals. I remember when I was first starting out in the speaking business, I would sometimes get crippling self-doubt before a big event. I'd start to question my abilities, my message, and whether I even belonged on that stage. But then I learned a simple technique. I would take a few moments before each speech to close my eyes, take a few deep breaths, and repeat a simple mantra to myself. I am a champion. I am worthy. I am unstoppable. Those simple words had a powerful effect on my mindset. They helped me to banish the self-doubt and negative thoughts, and to tap into that deep well of confidence and self-belief that every champion possesses. So, if you want to start thinking like a champion, you need to master the art of envisioning success. You need to set big, bold goals for yourself, and then break those goals down into manageable steps. You need to create a roadmap that will guide you from where you are now to where you want to be. But most importantly, you need to cultivate an unwavering belief in yourself and your abilities. You need to banish self-doubt and negative self-talk from your mind and replace them with positive affirmations and reminders of your own greatness. Because when you can do that, when you can truly envision success and believe in yourself with every fiber of your being, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable will melt away. Challenges that once felt daunting will become exciting opportunities for growth and learning. And the best part, when you start thinking like a champion, when you tap into that powerful mindset of envisioning success and believing in yourself, you'll start to attract other like-minded individuals into your life. You'll find yourself surrounded by a tribe of champions, all working together to push each other to new heights and to achieve greatness in their respective fields. So, if you're ready to start thinking like a champion, if you're ready to unlock your full potential and achieve greatness in your life, then start by mastering the art of envisioning success. Set big, bold goals for yourself. Create a roadmap to get you there, and cultivate an unwavering belief in yourself and your abilities. Because when you do that, when you truly start to think and act like a champion, the entire world will open up to you. Doors that were once closed will swing wide open. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach will suddenly become within your grasp. And the best part, you'll start to inspire others around you to do the same. You'll become a beacon of hope and possibility, showing others what can be achieved when you truly commit to thinking and acting like a champion. So what are you waiting for? Start thinking like a champion today, and watch as your life transforms before your very eyes. Because when you think like a champion, anything is possible, and the entire world becomes your playing field.